Well, you heard about, Jack Black, Tenacious D.
Yeah,
Did you hear about that?
yeah. He's a funny guy. I like Jack Black, but
Oh no,
yeah,
no, it's one of those things. Here's the
his
crazy thing.
comment was that his buddy's comment was, uh, "That's too bad that they missed Trump" or something like that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think it's too bad because I could see it just change the situation and say it had been Biden,
Sure.
and someone took a shot at Biden. I could see somebody that didn't like Biden saying that. I
Sure.
To me,
Yeah, yeah. Not saying
it's
that.
like
Yeah.
you don't like the guy. You're kind of joking. I mean, it could be. I think that's extreme. I think that's part of this whole kind of
Well,
cancel.
yeah. I mean, if we have a, and that's the whole thing is we have a First Amendment. You can say what you feel or you believe is true
Right.
without
You're right.
repercussion about. And I agree. If he wants to say that, if he, that's fine. I mean, that's his opinion. That's unfortunate that he is, you know, thinks that way and wants to say that to thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
Probably
That is.
not very
I
smart.
guess. Right. Right. Yeah. I guess
You get
that's the
yourself.
thing. You pay the
But yeah,
you pay
the
the price for
Australian
doing it.
government, they're looking at throwing them out of the country, deporting them, and all that, and they canceled the rest of their tour. But
Right.
yeah, I am in agreement with the First Amendment where we can say what freedom of speech, and even
Yeah.
if you don't agree with the speech, it's we all have the same freedom. That if he
Right.
wants to say that, he can. But of course,
Anything.
Australia, I mean, I don't know what their rules are. I don't know.
No. But the
Well,
thing is, he did. I think it was highly inappropriate that close to when it
yeah, I think it's
happened.
inappropriate.
Highly
But
inappropriate. But nonetheless, I sometimes go, you know, I don't know. We're getting to a point where it's getting you know
heated.
well heated and just like we're getting so spread apart, and we talked about this earlier. We're getting so far apart on stuff that it's like we could stand to just go, hey, let's dial it down a notch. We're not enemies here. We may disagree politically, but we're not enemies. We're all Americans. Hopefully we want the same things for our kids. We disagree on social issues. That's fine. Let's just move ahead and use the system, voting, and instead of violence and this other stuff. And it's just a difficult situation. And you know what? I don't know. I mean, I actually feel bad for the kid that, you know, to a certain
Yeah,
degree.
he's
Everybody's
a young guy,
responsible.
had his whole life ahead of him, and
Yeah, it's a fool. I mean, a tragic whatever convinced him to do this. It's just like, wow, that is, and he's anyway.
that's why they need to get to the bottom of it. They need to find out exactly why he did it. What was he acting alone? I think that now is coming into question a lot more.
Sure,
Is
sure,
was he doing this on his own, or was he getting special assistance, special training, even to actually go through with this type of operation, which is not a
right.
simple operation. You just can't. Now there's a report that he bought the ammunition and the ladder the morning of the rally. So if you, he drove
Well,
up in his truck or whatever, or pulled the ladder out, went to a went to a
well,
building.
then,
I mean, and put it
what
up
was
with this,
yeah? What was the thing that somebody saw him, that they actually saw him a half an hour before the shots were fired? Is that
yeah,
was that real
there's
thing?
been report of that. And like I had told you, being 20 years in the military, most of those were in special forces. I did have the opportunity to do a VIP protection operation in Haiti when they brought Aristide back into country. The country had fallen apart. We invaded,
Right.
removed the whoever Maduro. I can't remember the guy's name, but anyway, he fled the country, whatever. So there was confusion, chaos. So Aristide comes back, and we were my team, the team I was on, 12 of us, were out in the kind of rural villages, and we were close to a village where Aristide was going to go and give a speech. So we got the call to go and provide security for Aristide because at that point they had no law enforcement. The military was all in a shambles. So obviously we went, and Aristide had a couple of U.S. State Department guys there as his bodyguards. But we got there 24 hours before the event. We secured the area where we knew he was going to be speaking. We set up a sniper position. We did all the clearing, cleared the building he was going to use, clear, as far as the perimeter that we established that the people would come in. We did all that clearing. And then we spent the night there, eyes on the objective, ensuring that nobody came in or nobody was there. So, just we secured the area. So we knew once the event started where all the potential, sniper positions, this and that. And we had our sniper position, and I had gone up to that sniper position. We identify all the dead spots, areas they can't see. So we would have the rest of the team is back in the area. We'd have eyes on those areas that aren't covered by the sniper. So we would, ensure we had coverage of everywhere. And this is in Haiti. This is 12 guys and 2 State Department guys protecting this one guy. And, obviously we didn't have any incidents, but I mean, that's a detail and it's kind of like ensuring that everything that's going on, all the potential hide spots and everything like that, and the coverage of your sniper team and this and that. And I was on the second floor with Aristide and his bodyguards, and I could see everybody. And obviously, the snipers are watching me, and I'm watching the guys on our team. So if I got a signal or a radio call, we had communication visually and with radio,
Right.
So with that being a small operation, very not that difficult to do the security for, and yet here's Secret Service. That's all they're supposed to do, right? Is protect VIPs, and they were unable to adequately provide protection for one of the most popular figures in the world right now. I mean,
well, what's amazing is, and this is just a side note, was how quickly they killed him. Yet he was able to get to where he was. So you kind of ask yourself, how long? I mean, because it takes time. You figure a shot's fired. You don't really know where it came from, but you're able to kill. How long did it take him to shoot the guy? I mean, how long? I don't know what the gap was for when the time the shots were fired. He was able to get off 6 to 8 shots.
Yeah, I've heard different. I've heard 8. I heard 7. I heard 11. And I'm thinking, well, 2 of the shots should be from the sniper team. Usually they double tap. Sniper team 2 shots if they want to kill.
So he took quite. I'm sure. Okay, so that makes sense. So they dialed in, but he's still had time to take quite
3 shots. I figure at least 3 shots came from him before they, eliminated it. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out,
if it was gotten off 8 shots before they killed him. I mean, that's like holy. And I listened just the 5, and his shots, the first 3 is bang, bang, bang. I mean, obviously aiming, firing. So that's you're looking at 3 seconds there. That's how long it should take for the sniper team to identify and engage. 3 seconds. So that's why I figured. Then I heard bang, 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 and then bang, bang. That little clip I saw or listened to and watched.
So when they say 6 8 shots, they're talking about a total aggregate of
all the shots fired. And I believe that it's hard to identify whose bullets are whose. They're just gunshot noises. But just from my experience, I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm just guessing. That's how it went. Supposedly there were more gunshots, but I haven't gone through all the video. I'm basing it on I listened to Dan Bongino, who's a former Secret Service. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He does, he was protection for Obama, and then he left the service, and he's very popular on his podcast and radio. He's got all kinds of stuff. But yeah, he's very knowledgeable about, securing a president. So obviously he's got like an hour, or he's going through it, analyzing everything, much more in depth than what I have. I mean, I'm just making a comment, really. So he's the guy to go to listen to his show if you really want to get more information on exactly what should have done, what happened, and all that. But
Yeah, everybody's dissecting it now, and of
yeah,
course,
they need to
hindsight's
figure out what happened, what went wrong. Obviously, Tucker Carlson made the comment that they just reelected Donald Trump.
right.
I mean, the iconic picture of Trump standing up, blood on his face, a 5'5" female hugging his waist, and he's saying, "Fight, fight, fight."
Well, he's a big guy, isn't he? I mean, he must be like 6'3". I don't know how big he is, but he's a big guy. So,
one of his
tragic
shields was only like 5'5". I mean, she came out to barely reach his chest. Like, what kind of shield is that? That's kind of ridiculous.
Well, there's so many
made for a great photo, that's for sure.
Chris, and tell me this: why wasn't he on the ground? Was he fighting off
no, he did go to the ground. He went to the ground.
He did go to the ground. This is where they were moving him.
You see him grab his ear. He goes to the ground, and then you see the Secret Service come in.
Right.
But then they got to get him up to move him. So they're getting him up, and he kind of says, "Wait," or whatever he said. And they stop, and he's like,
"Oh man,
fight." And I tell you what, I've been in combat. I've been shot at. If I ever got hit, I don't think the first thing I would say is fight, fight, fight. I think it would be an F word, would I say?
Yeah,
real loud. But I don't think it would be fight. So the fact that he was able, cognizant enough to stand up and use that moment to.
Well, look at he's a smart guy. I mean, I think he, like I say, he's a brilliant negotiator, and I think strategist probably. I mean, I don't know so much about that, but I think he's very smart. I mean, he's not, I feel terrible for the people that were in the stands, the guy that was shielding his kids, the firemen. I mean, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking to hear.
I guess there's the mayor of Washington. A mayor in Washington has come out and said that he believes it was staged. So like Trump arranged it. He asked some 20-year-old kid to take a shot at him. Make sure you just clip my ear from this distance so I can use it as marketing.
But it seems like someone put him up to this, because the guy is not the guy you'd pick. It's not the guy you'd pick for a completion. He was thrown off his competitive rifle team in high school because he was so bad at the shot. Did you hear this?
I hadn't read his history.
Yeah, well, so there's a little bit conflicting about like his personality and his high school experience, but they did say they had a competitive rifle team in the area he lived. I think he was in Maryland somewhere, and he was on the team, and they literally took him off the team, not because he was a bad shot, but because he was so bad that he was a danger to the people on the team. That's what they said. Now I'm just repeating that. I don't know how true that is, but that's like maybe he just was, swinging the rifle around without keeping it pointed forward. That'll get you thrown off. That kind of dangerous activity. So you kind of wonder, either he did come up with this, and it was so botched. The security was so bad that he was able to just walk in, and he did it himself. Became angry. Somebody was saying, "Oh, he's a great kid or quiet kid," but but not necessarily bullied. Then people say he was bullied every day. So there's like these conflicting reports of what kind of experience he had that maybe drove him to this. I guess they're looking for reasons why he did this. There was no manifesto, or they haven't found anything. Like he wasn't building a case. Now, maybe he was internally, but he wasn't doing it like posting on Facebook or writing in a journal. So far, they haven't found anything. It's kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of, he's kind of.
They say he acted alone, but when they were saying that, they hadn't even accessed his phone or his computer.
Right.
But very quickly, they came out, oh, he acted alone. And then they kind of said, well, we're going to check anyway to see if he has any affiliation with domestic terrorist organizations. But yet, he acted alone. You know, just kind of like, well, that's pretty quick to say he acted alone when you haven't even accessed his computer or his laptop, his phone. I mean, that's for people to all their information.
But now you did undercover police work. You've done, you know, so you know, I mean, so what's the process in a situation like that when you're investigating stuff?
Well, I mean, you seize whatever electronics he has. You get your warrant. You know, I don't know if he was carrying a phone when he, you know, if he was, that, you know, that would answer a lot of questions because the phone kind of tracks everywhere you go. But yeah, the computer would, and the phone would store any historical, even stuff you delete can be found on a computer or phone because it has to be overwritten. So even if you delete something, doesn't necessarily mean it's gone.
Right.
So, and yeah, we used to seize phones, and I was the digital guy. I would go in and look in, and you find all kinds of stuff. Once you have that permission, that warrant, people, especially nowadays, they put everything on their phone or their computer.
Yes, but on Facebook, where it's
or YouTube,
you don't have to do any digging. And this is
me in front of the. I tell you what, I did. One of my first arrests was from Facebook. I found the guy who was an arson case, and he posted on Facebook. Not that he started the fire, but the boat he was on, and just things that lined up timeline with what happened, him bragging about being on this boat where the boat was docked. So it was pretty interesting that, oh yeah, social media. And if you're a criminal, stay off of social media.
Yeah, really.
But apparently this kid did stay off. I mean, there's no really evidence right now, but it's still early.
There has been so much vitriol and just, you know, there has been such a strong kind of emotional. And to be fair, though, politics has always been this way. This is nothing new in the sense of
how many presidents
back in history, they've been shooting at each other on politics since the United States started. Aaron Burr and Alexander Alexander Hamilton, for instance. I mean, they had that duel. We have Kennedy. I think it was Harding. Different ones that were.
Teddy Roosevelt was shot during
Kennedy. So, in one sense, as difficult as this is to process for people, I think this is nothing new. Sad to say, unfortunately, this is nothing new. And I think that, I was looking at a video. Who's the guy? He's a special forces guy. Yeah, he's younger than you. That has his. I can't remember his name, but he has a pretty interesting channel. What's that?
Kennedy, Tim Kennedy or Tom?
No. He's anyway. So he was just saying,
there's a bunch of SF guys.
What's that?
I said there's a bunch of special forces guys.
Oh, I know there are. I know. But anyway, he took a day off, which I can appreciate. But I just thought, this is nothing new, and I think it rattled people. It was like a wake up. And I thought, man, if anybody's going to take a shot at anybody, I mean, Trump's been a target. Look at the Biden administration trying to throw him in jail. Trump has been a target, and it's just escalating. I think that's. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this, and I've listened to a few different people. They're constantly saying, "Oh, Trump's a Hitler" or this and that. I mean, when you start associating your political opponent as like a a
Yeah,
mass murderer, a
right.
dictator from World War II that killed millions of people, Jews, and you're equating him, this Trump, to being Hitler.
Right.
That is really putting a bullseye, a target on him.
Sure.
You know, it's like, well, now these people have a few loose screws are going, I have the opportunity to kill Hitler and save the world or save
Yeah. Yeah.
millions of people. I mean, how many
Yeah.
people would say, yes, I would kill Hitler if I had the opportunity because of what he
Right.
did?
Right.
Thousands
Well,
of
that's what I mean.
people
The
would
rhetoric
volunteer to
seems
kill Hitler.
so over the top and inflated and ridiculous. But that's been going on for a long. That same stuff has been going on.
Well, I don't know. I
It
think,
has. Well, it
I don't know.
started.
As far as I can remember, I don't remember politicians accusing the other of being like Hitler. I mean, that's
They,
pretty serious.
they use George
They make
Bush and
they say
Hitler.
they slurry, slam, in other ways, but actually equating them to like the one of the worst villains ever on the planet,
Yeah. No, I
Stalin and
agree. I
Hitler
agree.
and Mao. I mean, those
Whether
are
it's
pretty
happened before, no,
serious charges. I
yeah.
mean, I don't know. I haven't been like a political guru, always following politics, but it just seems really over the top, about Trump and who he is, how he's the next Hitler or Stalin, or that's really, I mean, we already had 4 years of him. He didn't do anything. I mean, he wasn't lining people up and having them executed his first 4 years, but now he's changed his mind. Just kind of, it's ridiculous. I
Well,
mean, to me,
yeah, I was listening to
I
Rob
get that.
Reiner on the show, and Rob Reiner was saying that here you have, he's referring to Biden, here you have a constitutionalist, a law abiding man, and then you have this fascist Trump. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, that's a stretch. I mean, that's a stretch. I mean, but then again, you come down to free speech and personal opinion, and hey, he's welcome to it.
Yeah.
But I think overall in this case, there is a chance that this kid just people turn the other way maybe and let him do it, but may not have had anybody other than maybe collusion in the sense of guilty by association. Maybe people just saw this kid and went, I just won't do anything. I mean, that's a possibility. But man, if you're going to get somebody do an
Assassination.
assassination, this guy wouldn't have been the one. You know?
Well, the thing that, and I'm hearing unsubstantiated reports that there may have been more than one shooter, two or three. Like
Oh,
there was a
maybe.
water tower that had a better line of sight. It was higher, and it's kind of like,
Well,
well, if
why
there's
didn't
more
they?
than,
I mean, that's the thing where were they?
where were
I mean,
they?
there is some question to me in my mind, and of course, you have a lot more experience than me, and so you tell me. Either he was a part of something, and it is weird to me. I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, but it is weird to me. This is not the guy. Now, he did kill somebody horribly. As a horrible situation, and the fact that he got as far as he did is just horrible. But it's like if you were going to pick somebody,
Yeah, you wouldn't
maybe
pick him to take the shot. He wouldn't be taking the
yeah,
shot.
he's not the guy.
He's the patsy. He's the guy you
Exactly.
build up. He's going to be the most exposed. He's the guy
Right.
they're going to execute, and
Yeah.
that way there's no loose end. So yes, just like the Kennedy assassination and JFK or RFK assassination, the guys that supposedly did it were killed at some point before the trial,
Sure.
the hearings, and all that. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
typical.
Yeah.
That's
That's right.
kind of the typical operation modus operandi.
Well, wait a
So
second.
there may have been
Sirhan
somebody in
didn't.
the tower taking really taking the shots.
Well,
But ballistics will be able
Sirhan
to tell you
wasn't.
that.
Yeah, Sirhan wasn't killed. Robert Kennedy's assassin. I think pretty much he died. But
Okay, I'm
but
thinking
Jack
of
Ruby
Ruby.
killed. Well, and that's the
Yeah.
one that Jack Ruby was killed the shooter Oswald, Lee Harvey Oswald, shortly after the assassination. That happened right on national TV. I mean, they've got pictures.
Yeah. That's what I'm
He's
thinking about. But
but
what you
Sirhan,
want in an operation like that is a fall guy, somebody who's going to,
right. Right.
They're going to blame it on he's going to be dead. So it's kind of like dead end on the investigation.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's
but the
crazy.
ballistics will be able to tell us if they find the bullets. They'll be able to match it to if it really came from his gun because they got his rifle. So that's going to explain a lot if they find those bullets and if they analyze,
Right.
determine.
It's like I say, and you know this. They know the exact distance. Was it 150 yards? The shooter
There's
from the target.
130 yards from
Yeah.
the rooftop to truck.
Which for somebody with a scope and a rifle like that,
Yeah,
that's
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 not a
not a far
difficult
shot.
shot.
Right.
In the military, we zero at 50 meters, but the target is about 100 meter, in size. So we're basically
Right.
zeroing at 100 meters. So that's long. That's about 130 yards. So I mean, that's your typical shot is with a
Right.
rifle.
This is
Not
crazy.
a difficult feat, but some people is difficult.
Yeah.
Um,
And so, yeah, it's just the whole situation is tragic with the guy that was shielding his kids, his wife and kids, and just
yes,
I
yeah. I mean,
don't
that's
know.
sad that,
Yeah,
people did die or seriously injured,
right.
and we
Horrible.
just want to hope and pray that law enforcement does what it's supposed to do, proper investigation, transparency to find out how do we prevent this from happening again. I mean, that's really what we should be taking away from this.
It is weird that I mean, think of the distance here, Chris. I don't really know the situation where he was. What was he in the stadium or
Who's that? The shooter?
Trump?
Oh, Trump?
Trump.
No, it was basically a field, the farmer's
Okay.
field had
Well, if
several
you got a
warehouse
security team, if you got,
and a watchtower. I mean, it was just a pretty wide open field, but there
yeah.
were buildings, scattered about.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you've got a security team, and like you were saying, you were doing VFP for RC during the whole collapse in Haiti. I mean,
Right.
if you were securing an area, how far out would you go? 1,000 yards?
Well, I mean, that's determined on terrain. I mean, and it depends on where you're putting the people, where the VIP is going to be stationed. So it depends on your situation. And so you have different layers, perimeters, outer perimeter, inner perimeter, and you have a flow and an exit plan. So you have a lot of this. And supposedly they were on the site days before the event, several days before the rally, planning it out. And something else, Dan Bongino brought up that they should have had drones up. That's pretty standard nowadays. Is you have a drone up and it's scanning the whole area from aerial. You can see what's on the rooftops, who's where. I mean, that makes sense. We didn't have when I was in, we didn't have that uh, technology. But yeah, it's a great tool. I mean, I can't imagine them not having it. You know.
Well, what I'm saying is 130 yards from the target from where Trump was standing. This kid was able to drive up, grab his rifle, grab his ladder, walk over to a building 130 yards from the target.
Yeah.
Put the ladder up against the building, climb up, get into position. I mean, the fact that they didn't have somebody on the roof of that building. I mean, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Did you hear what I said?
No, I had a phone call coming. I was trying to.
Oh, no worries. I was saying, you think about 130 yards. A football field is 100 yards. 100. Yeah. So with the end zones, that's approximately 130 yards, maybe a little bit more, or a little bit less. And you've got a security team. It's unbelievable to me that there wasn't somebody on top of that building, that this guy was able to go.
Yeah.
Pull up
on it. Right.
Pull up close enough to pick up a ladder, have his rifle. I guess he had his rifle hidden in his jacket or something, or no?
He didn't have a jacket. From the picture I saw, he had a t-shirt, a pair of pants.
Okay. So he didn't. So I mean, pick the ladder.
There was a duffel bag somewhere.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
And
That
then
is
on a day like
unbelievable.
that, 80 degrees, you have a trench coat to hide your rifle in. That's a little suspicious. Or, or a
Well,
big duffel
that's
bag
the way
on your
I do it.
back, you know. And that's what law enforcement does. Like I said, I was law enforcement. You see anybody, and this is something that I learned later also was they had made it, though Dan Bongino brought this out, they had called in a suspicious person. So they were aware, and they believe it was this guy, that he was behaving suspiciously. I guess walking around with a ladder and a rifle was considered
Looked
suspicious.
a little sketchy. Like, hey, that's what?
Yeah,
Don't
we
worry
call
about
this in. But anyways, uh, so 30 minutes before Trump goes on the stage, they had this report that there was a suspicious individual. So then Bongino's like, right then they should have prevented Trump going on the stage until they found this guy, ID'd him and all this other before they allowed Trump go on. And he said the fact that they let him go on anyway, even a suspicious person wandering around, he said that's a red flag. You don't do that, which makes sense. The idea is to protect the VIP at all costs. So anyway,
Chris, I've never done any police work. I've never done anything like this. Never been in the military, and I think it raises a red flag. So
yeah.
I mean, like maybe, and so they're blaming the police. So the police failed. I'm thinking, yeah, maybe they did, but the Secret Service was really ultimately the ones responsible. It wasn't like some chief of police in Pennsylvania.
Right. Yeah. They're going to probably push.
It was ultimately Secret Service that was there, and I'm sure I don't know all the details, but I'm just thinking you have a building with a roof with a clear line of fire, and there's nobody on that. I mean, how many guys in a security detail for something that size? There must be 50, 20, 40. How many?
Oh yeah, I would. And plus, you have local law enforcement available.
Sure.
Something like that. There must have been, I don't know, 100 security elements.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
guessing
what were
minimum.
they? And
Because
it's just like, oh, this is like,
supposedly there were 50,000 people in attendance somehow. I'm like, I don't know if that's true or not,
well,
but
open
50,000
field.
people,
Well, you
a
remember
lot
we
of
go
people.
to St. Peter's Square, or it's not a square, but the rotondo there, St. Peter's, and they pack
Uh-huh.
a million people into that
Yeah,
place. I mean, it was
yeah.
big, but it wasn't that big. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, you can pack standing
That's a
straight
lot of
up
people.
or sitting in chairs, you can pack them in. But yeah, it's like everything raises more questions. Nothing is answered. More questions just come to light. Yeah.
Right. And that wasn't the only rooftop or building that the shooter could have positioned himself to have a line of sight on the stage. So that's information's coming out also. It's like he was on that one, but there was other places he could have been, or were there
Sure.
other people, other shooters that were in those
Right.
positions? So, anyways,
But don't you?
it's a
But tell me
mystery.
this. Yeah, tell me this. If you were doing security, and you obviously you said you've done it before. If you were doing security like that, wouldn't you position people at points where they had superior vision and
Right.
oversight?
Yeah. You'd want to have somebody, or at least an officer on every building, I would personally, that could see down below. You know, you want that, elevated position for observation for a minimum. So the fact, I mean, but it's up to whoever's in charge of the security detail. I mean, for me, like you said, why not have a cop on each roof? Or yeah, it's going to be hot sitting up there on the roof, but that's your job. Uh, yeah, to relinquish those positions and not use them to your advantage is foolish. I would want the high ground in every possible situation.
Right.
You have all the observation. You
Like I
have the
said,
drone.
ask questions.
But they may have had it thrown up, so they're like, well, we don't need anybody on the roof because we got a couple drones or whatever. So we don't necessarily need to man the roofs. I don't know. I don't know how they do it now with the technology. It may be different. back when I was in law enforcement, yeah, you have somebody in on the roof, the high place, take advantage of that observation. So,
Right. Well, and not that, I mean, yeah. So that's my contention. I just think somebody needs to be held accountable for what went down, because it seems they just make this kid, they don't make him look competent. You know what I mean? He wasn't
yeah,
he wasn't a secret agent. He's more like a lost soul that,
yeah, that's
has
what's
a
coming out.
grudge. Yeah, has a grudge. Not necessarily, not necessarily from the picture from what I read, not necessarily outgoing, kind of a loner, but quiet and intelligent, kind of nerdy. Um, but a smart kid. Teachers seem to like him. I mean, it's just like, what is going on with this? And then he gets thrown off the rifle team because not only is he's just not a great aim, but he's a danger to the people around him. He's so bad. He gets
Yeah,
taken off the rifle team, and this guy is able to penetrate the perimeter, the security perimeter, protecting Donald Trump,
like the most elite
building,
security service in the world. You know,
and take shots and kill and wound people. It's just, oh man, it's just
it
like,
boggles the
it's
imagination.
done. It's over. I mean, it's like I kind of go. I love our country, and but sometimes I look at things and I go, you know, it's too, we're in too deep. Like who was the guy that committed suicide in the cell in a high security suicide proof, Epstein, and you know, and
The
the guy
guards
just saying,
watching him, the two correctional officers fell asleep, and the cameras didn't work in that cell.
yeah, and nothing worked.
Yeah,
And able
that's
to,
kind of like, okay, that's
but that's what I mean. This stuff happens. You see,
seems to be happening a lot.
Or Glizon, or whatever her name, Maxwell.
Yeah,
She's in prison for trafficking children, underage women, and children, and nobody else has been named. I mean, it's just like,
hmm
it's just,
uh,
what
my
it's
wife
over.
was my wife was reading an article. And there was a tweet. She read the tweet to me that somebody had posted, and it was they found cocaine in the White House. Uh, then it was they arrested a sexual predator who assaulted a man in Pelosi's house. And then there was what's it? Oh, and they found a dead body at Obama's house. So they searched Trump's house. That's the FBI. It's like, okay,
That's
that
kind of
makes
the
sense.
level. That is the level of insanity that's going on. It's just like, so when the Republicans have their chance, are they going to go and do, and hopefully they won't, but I don't have a lot of hope for it. It's just like, anyway,
Well, I mean, I think the right thing to do is conduct a lot of investigations,
sure.
do what's going on. And it kind of goes back to the guy who won the presidency in El Salvador. I can't remember his name,
Right.
but one of the first things he did when he got into office, he called all the cabinet and all the group together and government. He said, "Today, I'm investigating all of you." So
Yeah.
he started investigation on everybody in the government. And that's how he started cleaning it up. And the country is a
Yeah.
lot better
He put,
for it.
like, what they said, he put, like, I don't know how many,
Oh yeah,
50,000 gang members.
thousands of gang members, criminals in jail. I mean, he just swept through the streets of the city, and just arresting people for crimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he was arresting just anybody or supposedly he's arresting criminals. You know,
Well,
Uh,
I think the gangs were pretty
but
much running
but
the country
the
at that
crime
point.
rate has dropped significantly in that country. People
Mhm.
are the economy's on the rise. People are getting, employment's
Yeah,
going up. There's there's a
yeah,
transformation going on in El Salvador that we need to take note if we want to,
yeah. Well, the thing
get our
is, it's
country
just
back.
too much. There's just too much money here.
Yeah,
The people that are responsible, I'm sure, who knows, we kind of point fingers, but until we know for sure, we don't know for sure, are so well protected by our own, by the very system that
yeah,
they're breaking down, they're protected by it. And it's
yeah.
just like
Bureaucracy. Yeah, and
the
the
bureaucracy
corporation.
protects itself. I mean, look, Trump got in and pretty much nothing changed.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it's deep.
maybe it did. I wasn't aware. I think he
There
did
was
some
a
good
few,
stuff.
I think uh, he tried to do what he could, but I think we discussed this before. But it's just too deep. Like I think he said it, or somebody said that the swamp is just too deep and wide to make. And he just didn't have enough time to make the changes necessary.
Yeah,
It was more. It was way more than what he expected. It
yeah.
was deeper and more.
And just an
Oh man, I'm
FYI,
running out of battery power.
you're running out? No,
What? Huh?
are you running out of battery power?
Yeah. But
What? I I thought, what? Plug that sucker in. Well, it's a good thing you turned the video on.
isn't that something?
It's a good turn. We had the video turned on, so that's good. But the guy's name was Sean Ryan, the Sean Ryan Show. He's got all kinds of interesting stuff on this show. Um, but
Yeah. Yeah. He's
so I
got
don't know.
it.
Do you know any of these young? Well, they were probably in a lot.
Yeah. These guys, I was cadre near the end of my career, 2000. I was Special Forces cadre, evaluating the candidates. So the guys that I evaluated are probably retired or retiring now
Right. Yeah.
because it's 2024. So these
Right.
guys, I mean, they probably got it. They were coming in after I had retired, probably.
Right.
Or you had to be an E5 when I was there. Different rules have changed slightly, but anyway.
Right.
But it's very possible that they went through when I went through. I don't, it was hundreds of candidates. I don't
Sure.
remember any specifically, and I keep my name and number unlisted so they can't find me.
Well, I appreciate your insight. With you you've had police, years of police service and then military service, special forces. So it's kind of cool to get your insight on this because at this point, if it's just
Yeah.
me, I can ask
There's
questions.
there's gonna be a million people with their insights on this, but it makes it fun.
That's the only the only payout in the sense of any horrible incident is people get to pick it apart after it happens.
Yeah, yeah.
All the
It's
conjecture, all the
disaster or catastrophe would happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's entertaining or it's interesting to hear different perspectives, and so it is. It's like a murder mystery or something that
sure.
putting the pieces together. So it is engaging. I feel for the families that lost, the dad and the ones that were injured. Even the assassin being killed. I mean, all that is sad. It's unfortunate. It didn't have to happen. It really didn't. It didn't.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, we better cut it off there. It's
All right. Yeah. Let's put some wraps on it. Tie it up with a bow.
All right. It's got to be turned. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that angle right.
Let me get the angle.